I want to start to thanks Piotr and the rest of the gang for inviting me here. I have a lot of fun to give this talk. I gave this talk several places and I always get quite interesting reactions. So I think this is a quite polemic topic. But before I start, I would like to ask you, who in this room use performance appraisals in their own company? Okay, not that many. And how many of you actually believe performance appraisals are a good thing for you and for your company? Okay, not even one person, so I think I'm in a safe place. So, usually I start this talk talking about or defining what a performance appraisal is, because a lot of people ask me what does it mean. So I want to start this talk explaining what I mean with what is a performance appraisal. So performance appraisal for me, it's a mandatory process attached to a specific time where one or several people work's performance is rated or judged by someone else than other person that is being evaluating the person, and where the results of this evaluation or rating are kept on the organization. So now I want to take you back to some time on the 90s. So at that time there was two gentlemen that they basically changed completely the game industry at that time, Taylor and Henry Ford. At that time we were living in an era where our society was extremely slow, no competition, no dynamic, everything was static. Really long, tall hierarchies where all the decisions were centralized in a few people in the organization. We were in the era where managers obtain compliance from the people using extrinsic rewards and punishments. But in reality, today we are in a different society. Everything is changed in a really fast way. Competition is tough like never before. Startups are popping up every single corner. Our customers are extremely demanding with ourselves, always pushing more and more service and extra needs. And centralized decisions cannot be anymore done in the viable way. We need to empower our people. We need to empower the frontier lines people that are working with the clients to take the decision. So the way how we manage companies and manage people must be completely different than what it was 100 years ago. But you know what? Most of our companies are still managing people like they were managing them 100 years ago. So let's actually look into small research to see what actually does it mean when we take all these performance appraisals, ways of managing and evaluating people from 100 years ago into today's world. So 90% of the performance appraisal systems in our company are not successful at all. 95% of the professionals, HR professionals, tell us they really suck. They are not working. So I ask you guys, if we have a product that 95% of our customers was not happy at all with it, would you guys actually put that product on the market? That's the answer. So I wonder why we still use this practice. I really do not understand, or actually, I understand. The thing is, performance appraisals were created in a way that they tried to tackle a huge amount of problems, a group problems that they were packed. And now companies, they do not know how to do with it. They do not know how to get rid of it. For example, one of the biggest reasons that I hear from companies, from HR professionals telling me that you need performance appraisal is about continuous improvement, companies, target, goals. People need to know where they go. But in reality, guys, we know already that if you want to improve a company, do not improve the small parts. Do not improve individual. You need to improve the company as a system, as a whole. Otherwise, nothing works. So this is one of the big things, one of the big flaws that we have in today's world. HR thinking that if we improve the individuals, we can actually improve the whole. Second one, and this is the one that I hear the most, feedback. We need a lot of feedback. So we need to have performance appraisals. Of course we need a lot of feedback, but you think that having feedback once every 6 months or once every year, it's really productive? I don't think so at all. Another problem with this feedback session is that 80%, there's several studies saying 80% of us think that we are a top performers. So every time that you have a manager that tells you that you are not really a top performer, I can guarantee you that you will completely disconnect and you do not hear anymore what the manager has to do. So, as to say, so there must be another way to do these kind of things than the old traditional way. Coaching. We need to have our manager to coach us. We need to have our manager to teach us. Come on, guys. This is old school. We know better than anyone else what we need. We know better than anyone else what we want if we have the direction to achieve it. Of course, managers can be a good coaches, but what I hear a lot is the manager is the God that will teach you everything. Manager might know piece here, piece there, he has his own specialty, but nowadays we need to know so much. We need to know, if you are in an agile team, we want people to know about testing, about business analysis a bit about of development, TDD, and a manager cannot teach you all of this stuff. There are a lot of people in the company that you can actually get help out of without being your manager. So this is completely outdated. Compensation. You need to have performance appraisals to define compensation, which is not that true, how I will explain later on. Promotion. How many of you were really great developers or know some of your great colleagues that they were really great developers and they become horrible project managers or horrible managers, horrible team leaders? Whatever you are good at does not mean that you will be good in a different position. So we need to take a look in a completely different way how we promote people in our companies. And the last one, which I think quite funny, that laws require us to have performance appraisals. I want to be really clear here. Laws is governmental laws. Everything which is HR is not a law. It's a process that HR people demands. But this is something that is not law. So you don't need to have all these pieces into place. But like I said, the problem of this is we cannot detach all of these pieces. So most of our companies, they do not destroy performance appraisals. But I will come back to the end of this presentation. End of the presentation, I will come back to you. I will explain all that stuff. But now I want to explain exactly why performance appraisals do not work. And I want to tell you a story. Some years ago, there was a company called United Motors manufacturer. This company, as you can see, was not one of the highest performance company in US. They had 20% of people did not show up. Consumption of alcohol and drugs were really, really high. One of the worst companies in all US. You know what? Toyota, they made a partnership with General Motors. They hired or rehired 85% of the initial people. They sent people to US, trainers. They sent people to Japan. And imagine what? After 1 year, 85% of the same people, the company became the most, or one of the most baddest quality companies in the whole US. You know why? Because we work in complex systems, and the individual performance is driven by the system. What does it mean? Good people in a bad system will perform really bad. Bad people in a great system will perform really well. And what I mean is, it's proven that 1 or 2% of the people are outside of the system on the unacceptable area, and 2 or 3% are outstanding people that they are outside of the system. So, as you can see, we must stop to act like if we can identify individual performance from the influence of the system. We cannot. Most of us are just driven by the system. Another thing, how performance appraisal fail miserably. People tend to rate, evaluate jobs. This is really, really bad. Why? Because basically, there are one big problem. There's what we call categorization and stereotypes. We get connected with people that we like, or we get not connected with people that we don't like. In our industry, there is a lot of the stereotype about nerds, right? So is a nerd is an antisocial person, he does not like to communicate. This is a stereotype that, as you know, sometimes it's true, sometimes it's not true. But as soon as you have your stereotype in your head, you will not be able to rate or evaluate all the options in a neutral way. There is this favoritism problem. How many of you know colleagues, myself, I did the same, that I arrive a little bit early in the morning, bring a cup of coffee to my boss, 2-3 months before the performance appraisal, I start to invite the guy for a nice dinner, nice beer, and then, boom, my grade is quite high. Gender. There's plenty of studies that shows that, unfortunately, women and men, they are not treated equally in many countries. For example, I had the pleasure to work in Finland for 6 years, and that's quite interesting because the women there are treated exactly as the same as the men, and it's interesting, really, really cool. It was the first time I saw a woman driving a bus. It was super interesting, and many years ago, if you think about it, it was almost impossible to think about that. In Germany, for example, everyone knows that a lady doing the same job as a man gets 10 to 15% less salary than a man. So this is always facts that we cannot ignore and we cannot change because we are human. This is what distinguishes us from animals. But the worst part is still to come, because this is the part where actually companies are destroyed by performance appraisals. One of the big problems of performance appraisals is that they destroy optimization, because, like I said before and here, you can destroy your corporation improving the small parts. And here I have a really interesting story. So on the 90s, I met a guy that he started to work with XP on the 90s. And he was working in a company that they were providing software service, or black box, as you want to call it. And the company was having a lot of problems with software quality. So they decided to try out XP programming in 99 or 98, something like that, because they wanted to solve the software problems. And indeed, they solved all the problems. Quality of the software became really, really high. Customer satisfaction became extremely high. The final results came, and the company lost a lot of money. And you know why? Because, like I said, it was a service software company. They were charging for bug fixing. As soon as the quality of the software went up, they were not able to charge any more bugs fixing. And the prices and the profit went down. So this is a perfect example that I always like to give to you guys, that improving small parts of the system does not mean that the whole system will be optimized. Performance appraisals destroy innovations. Do you know why? Because this is simple. For you to innovate, you need to be in a safe environment. You need to be able to fail, because when you fail is when you learn. When you learn, you create cool stuff. When you have performance appraisals attached to your, or bonus, or money, or whatever, attached to your salary, you do not care with learning. You want to go and use the short route to achieve your goals. You do not want to fail. You want to get your bonus. So as soon as a whole company stops learning, stops trying, and focus purely on bonus and performance, you know that your company is going down. Continuous improvement process and effort. I saw a lot of companies that managers started to pay huge amount of money and bonus to try to improve continuously the company. They created a lot of continuous efforts, continuous improvement efforts. And what happened? As soon as they stopped giving the money, all the continuous improvement efforts in all the companies stopped. People were just so focused on the money that they did not care with the improvement of the company at all. And basically, this happens in a lot of companies. Performance appraisals actually punish people. I know several of people that come in December, November, they are already expecting a bonus, and basically the bonus does not come. And then they spend all the time thinking, what did I do wrong? Where did I not perform my job that I'm not able to get my bonus? And I can guarantee you, I believe some of you are already in that situation. It's a horrible feeling. Performance appraisal crash the intrinsic motivation. And let me explain you, and I create an example just for you so that you can understand. Imagine that you are a software development company, and your manager comes to you and tells you, I want you to improve velocity to next sprint that you need to deliver me 10 stories. And you know what? This is what the guy asks you, and this is what we have been delivering. And during 21 sprints, this is a real case, by the way. During 21 sprints, you were never upper 5. And now the guy basically comes and asks you to deliver 10. This is something that is really close to you, but think about it. This can happen in any part of the organization. Instead of 10 stories, the manager can ask you to improve the quality. The manager can ask you to improve sales revenue. The manager can ask you to reduce defects. And this is exactly the outcome, right? You will never be able to do it because it's a stable system. Basically, you cannot do anything that is not inside of the system. In order to achieve something that's outside of the system, you need to change the system. And basically, this drives motivations. So if your boss gives a target that here or here, it's almost sure that will drive intrinsic motivation away because you'll never achieve it. If it's something here, sometimes you get it, sometimes you will not get it. Performance appraisals drive fear. Performance appraisals, they create that strange feeling that every time we are close to that meeting with our boss, we do not know how to react, we are scared, we are nervous. It's another problem. They destroy teamwork. When I was in the train today, I was coming here, I was having a discussion with Mary and Tom, and some time ago in one of my companies that I worked, I had a product, we needed to release a MVP, and you know what? Management attached goals to KPIs of that product. So basically, we ended up having all the product managers fighting with each other to see which was the feature with the highest priority to be implemented. And guess what? Was not even high priority for the company. And what happened? All the product owners ended up fighting with each other. This is extremely quite common case in all our companies. So, what should we do? What should we do? In which direction should we go? So I want to really clearly state there is no single recipe. You need to try out. But first, get rid of performance appraisals. We are in the new society. We need to start thinking differently. We cannot, and repeat, we cannot treat people like Henry Ford and Taylor were treating them. We are not anymore people moving a piece from one place to another. We are much more stronger than that. We have much more challenging jobs than that. Get rid of it and try to understand and come up with new ideas to help your people. Get rid of bonus and incentives. This is the worst thing that you can give to people. Everyone likes money, it's true, but as soon as you start giving money to people, you will get them addicted exactly like drugs. There are several studies that shows that every time you give bonus to people, they will be always extremely demotivated immediately after the moment that they don't get bonus. Get rid of it, take the money out of the table, pay good salaries to people in order so that they cannot think about money and they enjoy their work. and start doing experiments. Start safe. For example, Adobe, I know that they shut down completely the performance appraisals in the whole company. That was quite drastic, but you do not need to do that. Choose a department, choose a unit, start slowing, start doing some experiments, try out, learn, and improve. But I don't want to go home and not give you plenty of ideas to what to do. So coming back to what I said in the beginning of this talk, I said that we had different areas that performance appraisals try to tackle. So after you shut down those performance appraisal things, you can start doing these kind of things. In order to help the company to improve, in order to help the company to go to the right direction, you really, really must give or find a purpose, define a clear vision. Mary yesterday talked on her talk, said on her talk that it's so important. People to be engaged, they need to have a bigger purpose. They need to know what the company needs to do or wants to do. So create a purpose, create a vision where to go, communicate a concise list of what you want to do as a company, and let people to create their own goals related to the big vision of the company. Sorry, if you want to take, can take 1 second. Okay. Feedback. There are plenty of ways to help our companies with feedback. So we can do agile retrospectives. We always think, or most of us think, agile retrospectives is something that's on the team level. This is completely wrong. Company where I'm working, I'm trying to put C-level, CEO, CTO, coming together every 2 weeks, sit down, and together with the developers, middle managers, we are trying to create retrospectives all over the company. This is something that gives us a tremendous value. Information radiators. A lot of people think that feedback is just about people. Feedback can come as well from the way how you do work on the daily basis. If you have a dashboard, green build, testing coverage, whatever, there's a huge amount of information out there that tells exactly how you are working on the daily basis. Feedback sessions, feedback walls. So we are starting this in our company. We have a bunch of feedback walls in the company that basically you can start putting post-its and giving suggestions how you want to change and what you want to change. Coaching, that's coming back to what I was saying. The manager is not the god anymore. So there are plenty of ways how to help people to actually get coaching. Create a culture of continuous improvement. That is extremely important. Communities of practice, dojos, one-to-one mentoring, dozens and dozens of ways how to do. One of my colleagues, he started a really cool thing now in Munich in his company. He started what they call the Software Academy, which is not just for software, but it's just an idea. So basically they are starting a kind of academy, university inside of the company where basically they collect people all over the company to give lectures, lunch talks. They bring external speakers. They bring external trainers. They organize trainings. And every 2 weeks they have new sessions. They have online courses. They are creating free courses every week. And this is a great way for people to be engaged, to learn new things every single week. Compensation, that's a tricky one. But as I explained, 96-97% of the people are part of the system. All their performance is driven by the system. So don't try to give different salaries to all the different people. So I believe that what you need to do is try to figure out what the market pays. Then you decide in which part of the market you want to be one. You want to be a company where you pay the highest salaries in your town, in your country, and provide not so much a great environment, or a great environment depends on you. You want to be in the middle table, decide wherever you want to be, adjust the salaries of your people accordingly, and then give fixed amount of salary increase per year, plus inflation and so on. So yesterday, or 2 days ago, when I was coming here, I was reading a book that I highly recommend to everyone, called Maverick, from Ricardo Semler, the Semco, is the CEO of Semco. He has a pretty interesting way to give increase to their people. So he actively sent their employees to the competitors, and he talked with the competitors and asked them to provide the salaries of their employees, and their own employees go to the several competitors. They figure out how much the guys with the same expertise, the same work get, then they come back to the company, and then the salaries are adjusted based on this kind of research. And why I did that? Because he wanted the people themselves to go and look for, because he really wants to create a culture of transparency where people will not challenge their numbers. So if they go themselves to the competitors and get the numbers, they trust immediately on the process. And by the way, the same company publish in the transparent way the salaries of the executives, and actually the executives could choose their own salaries. And you can think this is quite crazy, but I can guarantee you that if you are a right guy and you want to work in the right company, you will not cheat, and you will choose a salary that's according to your skills. Promotion. Why? Every time we want to hire a new person, we have a battalion, a process, a specialist process to hire a new one. And when we want to hire a person that's internal, a promotion, we don't have any process at all. This is wrong. We can give special benefits already, people that are inside of the company, but definitely we need to hire, or we should hire, proper specialist people that are recruiters. We should definitely promote people that peers are comfortable to work with. If people are not comfortable to work with, this guy most probably will not be a great leader or a great manager. So think about it and try to apply some of this. Legal documentation, like I said, there is no law that I know that forces you to write everything on the paper. So basically, you can do a mandatory process when you are on the trial. So of course, in Germany, for example, we have a trial period of 6 months, and after 6 months, you need to have an evaluation with your manager to see if you become a permanent employee or not. In this kind of situation, it's pretty fine. Do it. But all other situations, I don't see why you need it. You have plenty of other ways to record performance of people if they are really raising a lot of problems. So, guys, this for me is a talk, but it's much more than a talk. For me, I really want to do something. I really want to change some of our companies. And for me, I really want to impact some of our companies. So therefore, I really have a dream. And I want you to help me with this dream, to be part of it. And this I especially did it for you. So for the ones that they do not know, this is the Polish volleyball team. They become champions a couple of months ago. So I would really like to start something with everyone that I talked. I would like to start a movement where we can bring purpose, mastery, and autonomy to our companies. And please, please do not tell me that you are just a developer. Everyone has a responsibility to make our world a better world. And you guys as the developers will be future leaders of this country, of this society. You need to start acting on it. I do not accept when people say we are just the developers. Yes, I was a developer one day and I made my way where I am today, but you guys, it's your responsibility to do a change. And why? Because all what people want is a chance to work with pride. Thank you very much.